Hello everybody, welcome to the third worksheet number 3 in the third video lessons. Today we are going to start about the Scratch programming. Today we will learn what's Scratch and what interface it has. So let's open the Scratch program. It's the Scratch program version 3. It means if you can see we have version 2 and version 3 is the last version of Scratch. In Scratch, we can create games, we can create emotions, we can create different things. So let's start about the basic of Scratch programming. In here, I have written everything that you can read from worksheet and get a concept about the Scratch programming. Scratch is a programming language based on graphical code blocks. It means everything that we are going to, it's about graphical. You don't need to write codes. You just bring codes. Each block represents a different programming command and you snap together the blocks to create a program. If you want to create a program, just you snap it. Join them, combine the blocks, which Scratch calls projects. When you open Scratch, these are the blocks. So when you use these blocks and join it or snap it together, you can create a program. Another thing that we should familiar with the interface. So let's zoom it. In here we have stage. This is where your project gets displayed when it's active. It means this is the stage that when we use the Scratch programming, every action or everything that we are going to do, it displays here, and it's our project. So sprites pan, this is where you add sprites. What's a sprite? It means the objects, everything, shapes, sounds, and everything that we use in Scratch programming, that's called objects that perform actions in your script. When you use sprites, the objects that perform actions in your script and display their properties. So sprites pan, and here I have a interface of version 2 that it's old version. Today we are going to use the new version. You can see the differences. This stage is here, sprites pan is here, script areas here, code blocks are here. But when I open the new Scratch, there are a little bit difference. We have another code, code blocks are different. In here we have customs, we have sounds that we are going to discuss each and every slowly and slowly. So another thing that we have in here, it's about the blocks. Very important one. And sprites pan, this is where you add sprites, the object that perform the actions. So let's try. Go to the choose sprite. This is a sprite pan, a new version. So you can see that here is different from the book. If you open the book, there's a little bit change. You should focus more, compare the two versions. So here you can find the sprites. They are different sprites that every sprite, some of the sprites has some actions that you can use. For example, dance, hobble. They are different objects. You can see. If you're gonna go to a particular object, for example, animals, people, fantasy, everything we have. I mean, you can create different games, different things. These are all the sprites. So when I'll click it, double click it, I have this object or this sprite. And this sprite is Valerian, so it has a name. And this sprite, the cat, it's a sprite 1, means has a name. You can change it also. For example, cat or cat 1. Sorry for misspell. Cat 1. Also for Valerian, in here we have the delete icon. You can delete it, remove it, or for uh, showing or hand showing, you can say hide or show the icon. There are lots of difference. As you can see in here, the old version, in whole version, we don't have such a icons in here. So in new version, we have something new. We are going to learn about this. Another thing that we should learn is about it's about backdrop span. This is where you add backdrop. It means those backgrounds that display in the stage area. For example, when you want to bring something in here, I mean behind this, so you can use the backdrops. In here we have this image. I can choose background, and in version 2 you can see there are some differences. So when you use bedroom, we have a background. Very easy. Let's compare it a little bit. You should think carefully, because in here, I mean in version 2 we have backpacks in here. I mean the position is a little bit changed. So I bring it also the new version in here that you can find it. So I take it a video, or I record a video because you can understand better. Tabs area. Here you find the tabs, scripts, customs, and sounds. Already I have shown you, but once again I'm gonna through it. In here we have code blocks, customs. In customs you can create the objects, or we can say sprites, different sprites, copy sprites, creative sprites. It's a project. When we work it on project, we can work it. I mean, you can see every and each is object. You can move it, small it, big it, increase the size, decrease the size, paint it, change color, everything you want. When you can work it, you can see we have different Valerian styles, I mean different objects that when we create it, they are dancing. So in sounds, it has a sound, for example, like this. I mean you can fast the sounds, high, louder, and every position. For example, in here about the soften, you don't want to match of sound, or we can say you loud it. It has a little bit higher. It doesn't have any sound, or maybe it fit in, fit out. We are going to discuss more about these actions. So this is the place that we are going to learn more about the customs, about the code blocks. A little bit, let's discuss about the codes. As I'm going to step by step. Tabs area, scripts, palette, custom, sounds, script area. There is the blocks of code to snap them together. It means this is the important point that we work, match, and more. Scripts area, you can use the blocks, drag the blocks, you mean the codes, and snap them together to create a project. So I don't want to create this video for project. I mean I'm going to try to work more about the blocks in next video. So a little bit, let's discuss. For example, this is the cat. I mean this is the codes. If you want to move 10 steps, it means you can drag and drop the code. This is the codes block. So we have a code we can use, for example, turn or turn cat. This is another code block, 15 degrees. When you click it on the cat, you can see the cat is going to turn. If you turn vice versa, so you can use another code. These are just the codes, for example, like this. I mean, this is the 15 degrees. If you want to move, I mean 10 steps, you can see it's moving. It's the cat that if you want to snap, this is called snapping. Maybe no, it's called snapping. It's called snapping that it moves, and also when it moves, it rounds, it changes. These are the motion blocks. It has another motions, point to directions, change by x and y, how much x and y. We have, if you want to separate the codes, you can separate it. For example, here is the cat, move from here, or let's divide it. This is the move, and when I go there, I can use another movement. I mean, these are just the actions that how many steps it moves, how many steps it doesn't move. You can calculate it or right click, delete the block, it's a way, or you want to move the steps from here. There are some, you can see some changes. For example, glide, it's 174. So when I change the size or I change the position, you can see the sizes change. Also, movement is so it's going to be changed. There are lots of things that we are going to learn. I don't want to create project because we have many things. So in here we have logs. It means what to say. It says hello. After a while, you can snap. You can see it's snapping. After it moves, say hello. This is the block. I don't want to use these blocks, so say hello, and it looks Savage custom, next custom. These are lots of things that we can read one by one. I mean, in every project, maybe use one of them. It has sounds. If you want to start the sounds, I mean, use these sounds. Use it in your project that it has some singing or another sounds. In here we have events. For example, when I click it, you can use this block. When I collect this hello, I mean, you don't need this option in here. It moves and say hello, so you can click it. This action is done. When the spread click it performs some actions. In here we have controls. For example, these are the codings. For example, if the action is done, then do this. If it walks 10 steps, then do this. We have many blocks. These blocks, if we write the codes in programming language, so it's so difficult. But in here, just we move the actions. For example, you can combine it like this. It's a block. If I do an action, do this. So we have sensing. For example, when it touch, what happens? The color change, the distance change, has key. When spaces, mouse down, mouse up. You want to create games. It's about the operators, about the signs, that what happens when it's greater 50, less than 50, what happens then. Or we have different conditions. We have in here we have variables uh, that you can use, the messages, changes, everything is in here. So we have blocks. This is called blocks, and for creating games you need these blocks. It means you should search it for a particular action, you need to work it on a project. You mean you put your time to study more, to create more, to learn more. This is the some about the interface that you can zoom what happens in here, the clock area, and you can decrease the size. In here we have another thing that when you want action is done, you can see the what happens. I mean the action you can press it here. I mean after walking, decrease the size, change the direction, the interface, you can change it. And also in here we have file menu. You can create new project or root from your computer. If you have created any project, you can create it, but I don't have any other projects. We are going to work it in videos, I mean next videos, so put it away. You can save your project in your computer because you want to work it about maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 3 months. You work in a project, so you need to save your project and load your project for more work on it. We have edit in here, turn on turbo mode, and also another thing, good thing in here, it's about the tutorials that if you want to learn about the Scratch programming, you can use the tutorials. And tutorials the steps a little bit. They are good. For example, use arrow keys to cut flies. How the cut flies. So in here it shows for you that you can use these codes when it's the condition. When right arrow key is pressed, then to do what? Change X, mean this direction. 10 steps. When left arrow key pressed, do this. I mean you should find the blocks, use the blocks. When up arrow is done, for example this, I mean this is it shows the result in 3 or 4 steps. You can create it a little bit some actions. So this was about the definition, bulk log, menu bar. About the menu bar, you can find save, revert, new, located, and toolbar. Unfortunately, the toolbar is a little bit changed. It means that we don't have more this toolbar in our new version. I mean there are some changes. You can find it. Oh, where is the toolbar? I want to use the toolbar. We don't have one here, so we have different places. This is the whole version and this is the new version. You can see there are lots of changes, but you can learn it, but you should practice more. It's the first video. I hope you have downloaded and installed the Scratch programming, because after this you work on a Scratch programming, you need to more work practically to learn more about the Scratch.